The first arrow struck the tree beside Kale's head. He didn't look back. He already knew who had fired it. The second arrow buried itself in the dirt just ahead of his boot. Kale kept running. Branches whipped across his face as he pushed deeper into the ancient forest, his breathing controlled despite the burning pain in his legs. Behind him came the sound he had been hearing for 5 days now. Heavy footsteps. Slow. Patient. A low growl rolled through the trees. She was coming. The orc warrior. Kale had never seen anyone move through a forest like her. She didn't chase like a frightened animal. She hunted like she owned the woods. 4 or 5 days, she had followed him through mountains, rivers, ravines, and dense woodland. Every time Kale thought he had lost her, he would discover another sign. 3 deep cuts on a tree, a broken branch placed across his trail, a footprint beside his campfire. Sometimes he would wake in the middle of the night and hear her voice somewhere beyond the darkness. You cannot run forever, human. Kale had never answered, because she was right. He couldn't run forever. But he didn't need to. He only needed to survive until she made one mistake. And today, he believed she finally would. Kale suddenly stopped. The forest ahead opened into a narrow clearing. At the center stood an abandoned stone bridge, half-collapsed and covered in moss. Exactly where he wanted her. He looked down. A thin piece of rope was hidden beneath the leaves. Kale smiled. Then he deliberately stepped over it. Behind him, the forest became silent. Too silent. He slowly turned. Nothing. No footsteps. No growling. No movement. Kale's smile disappeared. Then a voice came from above. You are getting slower. Kale looked up. The orc warrior was standing on a massive branch 20 feet above him. She was taller than most humans, with green skin, long black hair, sharp ears, and powerful shoulders covered with leather armor. An orange battle dress moved with the wind around her legs. Her curved blade rested against her shoulder, and she was smiling. Kale swallowed. You've been following me for 5 days, he said. 5 days, she replied. Why? Her smile faded. Because you killed 3 of my scouts. I didn't kill them. You were the last human they saw. They attacked me, and you survived. Kale slowly backed toward the bridge. Is surviving a crime now? For humans? She jumped from the branch. She landed several feet away without making more than a soft thud. For you, it might be. Kale turned and ran. The orc warrior immediately followed. This time she didn't fire an arrow. She wanted him alive. Kale knew it. He sprinted across the bridge. The old stone shook beneath his boots. The orc followed. 3 steps. 4. 5. Then Kale heard it. A metallic snap. The rope beneath the leaves tightened. The trap activated. But nothing happened. Kale's heart sank. He had expected the old bridge mechanism to pull the hidden counterweight. It didn't. The orc warrior stopped. Her eyes moved from Kale to the ground. Then she laughed. You set a trap. Kale slowly turned. She stepped closer. But you forgot something. What? She pointed toward the rope. I saw you place it yesterday. Kale's face went pale. The orc warrior raised her blade. For 5 days, you thought you were leading me. She took another step. But I have been leading you. Kale looked around. For the first time, fear entered his eyes. The forest seemed different now. The broken bridge, the narrow ravine, the steep cliffs, the abandoned stone towers. He suddenly understood. She hadn't followed him because she couldn't catch him. She had followed him because she wanted him to come here. You knew, he whispered. The orc warrior nodded. I knew. She lifted her blade. Kale took 1 step backward, then another, and suddenly, the stone beneath his foot cracked. He looked down. A hidden section of the bridge collapsed. Kale dropped, but instead of falling into the ravine, his hands caught an old iron chain hanging beneath the bridge. The orc warrior stared down at him. Kale looked up. For the first time, he smiled. You made one mistake. Her expression hardened. What? You told me you knew about my trap. Kale pulled the chain. The entire bridge exploded with movement. Hidden ropes snapped. Old wooden beams swung from beneath the bridge. A massive counterweight dropped from the cliff. The orc warrior jumped backward just as a stone beneath her collapsed. She landed on the edge. Kale swung from the chain and pulled himself onto the opposite side. The orc warrior stared at him. You planned a second trap. Kale stood. No. He wiped blood from his forehead. I planned 3. Her eyes narrowed. Behind her, the first wooden beam crashed into the ground. Then another. The bridge entrance became blocked. The warrior was trapped on the far side. Kale breathed heavily. For 5 days, he had been running. Now he finally had distance. But he didn't celebrate, because the orc warrior wasn't afraid. She was smiling again. You think this is over? Kale looked at her. No. Good. She turned toward the forest. Then she disappeared between the trees. Kale stared after her. He had trapped her, but she had escaped. And somehow, he knew the hunt wasn't finished. That night, Kale built a small shelter inside an abandoned watchtower. He didn't light a fire. He didn't sleep. Instead, he studied the map he had stolen 3 weeks earlier. There was something strange about the region. The orc warrior hadn't been hunting him randomly. Every path he had forced him to take had pushed him toward the northern mountains, toward an old fortress marked on the map with a single black symbol. Kale had originally believed the fortress was abandoned. Now he wasn't so sure. He looked toward the dark forest. Who are you? He whispered. A sound came from outside. Kale froze. 3 knocks. Slow. Deliberate. Someone was standing at the tower entrance. Kale grabbed his knife. Come out. Silence. Then the door opened. The orc warrior stepped inside. Kale immediately raised his weapon. She didn't attack. Instead, she dropped her sword onto the floor. Kale stared at her. What are you doing? I need your help. He almost laughed. You spent 5 days trying to kill me. I spent 5 days trying to stop you from reaching the fortress. Kale's smile disappeared. What fortress? She looked directly into his eyes. The one you're carrying a map to. Kale said nothing. She continued. You think you're an architect? No. She shook her head. You are the only human who understands what is beneath that mountain. Kale slowly lowered his knife. How do you know? Because my father died trying to stop the humans from opening it. Kale stared at her. The room became silent. What is beneath the mountain? The warrior looked toward the window, something that should have remained buried. Kale unfolded the map. The ruins were built more than 400 years ago. Yes. Who built them? My people. Kale frowned. Orcs didn't build stone fortresses like that. She gave him a cold look. You don't know anything about my people. Kale looked at the map again. There were markings he had never understood. Now he noticed they resembled the symbols carved into the armor of the warrior. You need me because I can open the fortress. No. She stepped closer. I need you because you're the only one who can keep it from opening. Kale's eyes narrowed. What happened to your father? He entered the fortress. And he never came out. A distant rumble shook the tower. Dust fell from the ceiling. Kale looked toward the mountain. The warrior whispered, Something has awakened. The next morning, they traveled together. Kale didn't trust her. She didn't trust him. But neither had another choice. For the first time in 5 days, Kale wasn't running. He was walking beside the hunter. They crossed a narrow valley before noon. The warrior introduced herself as Vera. Kale learned that she belonged to a small orc clan that had guarded the northern mountain for generations. The fortress wasn't a fortress. It was a prison. Centuries ago, something had been sealed beneath it. The humans who later discovered the ruins believed the structure contained ancient technology and forgotten treasures. They were wrong. It contained a weapon powerful enough to destroy entire kingdoms. And Kale had unknowingly been hired to design the excavation system that would reach it. He stopped walking. You knew my employer. Vera nodded. The merchant who hired you. Yes. He isn't a merchant. Kale's face hardened. Who is he? A warlord. Kale remembered the man's strange request. He had wanted the excavation completed quickly. He had offered more gold than the project was worth. And he had insisted that no one else be told about the fortress. Kale suddenly understood. He wants the weapon. Yes. And you thought I was helping him. I knew you were. Kale looked at her. I didn't know. Vera studied his face. I believe you. That was the first moment Kale realized she wasn't simply a monster chasing him. She was trying to protect something. And perhaps, despite everything, she was trying to protect him too. They reached the fortress before sunset. Its massive gates were buried beneath roots and stone. Kale walked toward them. He studied the symbols. Then he noticed something. The central door wasn't locked. It was waiting. He stepped back. Don't touch it. Vera moved beside him. What? The door. He pointed. Look at the carvings. The symbols were arranged in 3 circles. One represented fire. One represented blood. One represented memory. Kale's eyes widened. This isn't an entrance. Vera understood. It's a seal. Suddenly, arrows flew from the trees. Kale and Vera dug behind the stone wall. Dozens of soldiers emerged. At their center stood the man who had hired Kale. The merchant. He smiled. Thank you, architect. Kale clenched his jaw. You followed us. I followed her. The merchant pointed toward Vera. She was always the key. Vera's face became furious. You don't know what you're opening. The merchant laughed. I know exactly what I'm opening. He raised his hand. The soldiers attacked. Vera moved like lightning. She struck the first soldier aside, spun beneath another's blade, and knocked him into the stone wall. Kale wasn't a warrior, but he had spent 5 days preparing traps. He pulled a cord. A hidden line snapped. A dead tree crashed across the path. Several soldiers fell. He pulled another. A buried pit opened. More soldiers disappeared beneath the ground. The merchant shouted, Kill the architect! Kale ran, not away, toward the fortress. Vera followed. They reached the sealed door. The merchant soldiers surrounded them. Vera looked at Kale. Can you open it? Kale shook his head. I can. She stared at him. But I won't. The merchant stepped forward. Open the door. Kale looked at him. No. The merchant drew his sword. Then I'll kill her first. Kale looked at Vera. She whispered, Don't. Kale suddenly smiled. The merchant frowned. What are you smiling about? Kale reached into his coat. I finally figured out why the door has 3 seals. He held up 3 small metal devices. I didn't come here to open the fortress. The merchant's face changed. I came here to make sure you could never open it. He threw the devices onto the ground. The mountain shook. The ancient fortress awakened. Stone walls shifted. The ground split. The merchant stayed in horror. What did you do? Kale looked at Vera. The first trap was for her. He looked at the merchant. The second was for you. Then he pulled one final lever hidden beneath the stone. And the third, the fortress doors began closing, was for everyone. The merchant screamed for his men to retreat. Too late. The entire entrance collapsed. Vera grabbed Kale and pulled him away as massive stones crashed down. For several seconds, there was nothing but dust and thunder. Then silence. Kale slowly opened his eyes. Vera was standing beside him. The fortress was gone, buried beneath tons of stone. The merchant and his soldiers were trapped on the other side. Kale looked at Vera. Did we just destroy the only entrance? She nodded. Yes. Good. She smiled.